Hey guys, welcome. What we're about to do, we're about to read the transcript for Anna, which is AKA Halle, Halle Calhoun. And what we're going to do is read exactly what happened at court. We have individuals here who's playing the part, and we're going to get started for you guys. I know it's not that many people in the chat. I know Choke is on, but we'll go ahead and match it to what Choke read a couple of weeks ago in regarding to to um the case. All right, here we go.
Give me one.
Let's
Give me 1 sec. It's still not wanting to open.
okay. Yeah, we
Give
apologize for the delay and all that.
people a few minutes to come on in.
So let's see. We're trying. We're trying. We're trying. We're gonna get it together. Everybody's like so like swamped. And let's guys, if y'all have anything to say, just put it in the private chat, okay?
Sure. Will do.
We're just waiting, everyone that is coming into the chat. We're waiting for those to come in right now. We apologize for the delay. Please forgive us. Hey, Kimberly.
If you like, we could go ahead and start. It's up to you.
Okay, let's go ahead and start, and I will be the
Court?
yeah, but I have to go into my phone and
Okay, never mind. I could she'll be in.
Does, right?
Yes. Okay. So line 21. The court deputy, you may be seated.
It's not working, but let's just wait for the people.
Oh, okay. I was going to
Because I
say
don't
you
think
may be seated.
Henny, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You may be seated. I'll start with that.
Do you remember your part, Henny?
Yeah, but the court, all right, jurors, we're ready to continue. Will you call your next witness, please? Yes, the government calls Anna.
You see, that's why it's not going to work. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Sorry. Here she come. Here come Perspective me. Here we go.
Okay.
All right.
Perspective, you remember your part? Who are you again?
Court.
She's the court. You the other person. You're Maria Rodriguez. Okay. Cruz Mendez. I'm sorry. Cruz Mendez. All right, here we go. Let's start.
We're starting at line 20 what?
21.
All right. So right.
You go ahead and start. It's 22 because we already did the first part.
So Miss Shahida?
No.
No,
we're on page 2813.
2813. Okay.
Line 22.
Okay, hold on. Let me scroll. I'm sorry.
guys, we apologize again.
It's my fault. I'm sorry.
No, we're good. Okay, showers.
All right. 13, 22.
This we're
Okay.
gonna have to meet from now on before we get on because this is what holds us up when people trying to look at this. But come on, let's go.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
go.
All right, jurors, we are ready to continue. Will you call your next witness, please?
Yes, the government calls Anna.
Keep on
To the
going.
stand.
Please stand and raise. Okay. Someone, Miss Sylvia, do that one. Oh, you can't pull it up.
Mm-mm.
Please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And then the witness, and this me, I do. And so, perspective, can you do the court deputy and the court?
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right. Just a few things before we get started. I do want to make sure that the jurors can hear you and that the court reporter can take down everything that you're saying. So please do your best to speak slowly and into the microphone. And for the same reason, let whichever lawyer is asking the questions finish talking so we don't talk over one another. It makes it hard for the court reporter to get it down. If there's a question you want to have clarified or repeated, let me know and I will have the lawyer rephrase the question. And just do your best to answer only the question that you're being asked.
Okay.
Go ahead. Called Called by the government, having been first duly sworn, was examined and testified as follows.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm showing the witness only.
I want to make sure the microphone is on the top. There's a button there. Witness, hello. Okay, great. I'm showing what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 76. Do you recognize Government Exhibit 76?
Yes.
And who is that without saying your name?
Is it fair to say? No, Anna.
Is it fair to say that Anna is, let me ask you this way. This photograph, is that a photograph of you?
Correct.
Miss Melendez.
I'm now showing the witness, government. I'm showing just the witness what is marked as Government's Exhibit 76A. Is this the same photograph that's in Government's Exhibit 76?
Correct.
And at bottom of the photograph, is that your true name?
Correct.
Your Honor, the government moves to admit Government Exhibit 76A.
No objection.
That's an evidence.
May we publish just to the jury? I'm showing just the witness what's been marked for identification purposes Government Exhibit 76B. Do you see Government's Exhibit 76B there?
Correct.
Is that the same photograph in Government's Exhibit 76 and 76A?
Correct.
And written below, do you see the name Anna there?
Correct.
For the purpose of today's testimony, you're going to be referred to as Anna, okay? The government moves to admit Government Exhibit 76B.
No objection. All right. That's an evidence.
Permission to publish?
Yes.
Anna, where did you grow up?
Greenville, South Carolina.
How far did you go in school?
A year and a half in college.
Are you familiar with an individual named Robert Kelly, also known as Art Kelly?
Yes, I am.
Have you ever met Robert Kelly in person?
Yes, I have.
I'm showing the witness. I'm showing what's in evidence as Government's Exhibit 1. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And who is that?
Robert Kelly.
Do you see Robert Kelly in the courtroom here today?
I do.
Can you point him out and describe an article of his clothing he is wearing?
Light blue shirt.
Indicating the defendant.
You previously testified that you've met the defendant personally. Approximately when did you meet the defendant?
I believe it was 2016 at a show in Columbia, South Carolina.
And approximately how old were you when you first met the defendant?
I believe 19, going on 20.
And how did you come to meet the defendant?
Backstage at one of his shows at the show.
And can you explain how that happened?
I was told he saw me walking in and wanted to meet me.
Objection. Overruled.
Who told you?
Whoever worked for him at the time.
Did you later learn that individual's name?
I believe it was Bubba. That's his name.
And what, if anything, did Bubba say to you?
That Mr. Kelly wanted to meet me.
What happened after Bubba told you the defendant wanted to meet you?
I went backstage to the dressing room when he gets ready for his shows. We talked, and then he went and performed. And then after that, we met. We went to a meet and greet.
When you say we, who went to the meet and greet?
My mom and I.
And did you see the defendant at the meet and greet?
Yes.
What happened when you saw the defendant there?
We were all just talking. He was talking to his fans. That was pretty much it.
And at any point, did you discuss getting in contact with each other at a later time?
We exchanged numbers in the dressing room.
After meeting the defendant in the concert and exchanging numbers, did you speak with the defendant again?
Not for several months after that. After the concert, we both went our separate ways.
Did you communicate during that time period?
A little bit right after, but then it was, like I said, several months that we didn't go without speaking.
And at some point, did you see the defendant again?
Yes.
And where did you see the defendant?
In Atlanta, Georgia, I believe.
What were you doing in Atlanta?
I was there visiting a friend
Where did you see the defendant?
at his house.
Do you recall where the defendant lived at the time?
I believe it was Johns Creek in Atlanta, Georgia.
After seeing the defendant in Atlanta, did you begin to see him regularly?
Yes,
And at some point, did you enter into a relationship with the defendant?
correct.
Okay. What was the nature of your relationship?
It was like a relationship.
Was it sexual in nature?
Eventually, yes.
And approximately, and at some point, did your relationship with the defendant come to an end?
Down the line, yes.
Approximately, when did that happen?
I believe it was December of 2019, I believe. I know it was December, going on New Year's.
Approximately, how long were you with the defendant?
Sorry, 2018, I believe.
So, December of 2018?
Yes, I would say.
Okay, generally speaking, how would you describe the nature of your relationship when you first started seeing the defendant?
It was cool. We would always go out and have a good time. It was always fun, in the beginning.
At some point, did things change with the defendant?
Yes.
In what ways?
It was in more controlling ways, I would say.
When you say controlling, who was controlling?
Robert?
While you were seeing the defendant, did you ever travel to attend any of his concerts?
Yes.
And when you traveled to see his concerts in the beginning, how would you travel?
By plane?
And when you traveled by plane, who made your travel arrangements?
I believe Suzette, twin,
And who was Suzette?
one of his assistants.
One of the defendant's assistants?
Correct.
Who paid for your airfare when you traveled by air?
I believe Robert did.
And when you traveled to see the defendant, where would you stay?
In a hotel.
And who paid for the hotel?
I believe Robert did as well.
Did you ever pay for a hotel out of pocket?
No, never.
At some point, did you begin traveling with the defendant to shows where he was performing?
Correct.
When you traveled with the defendant to performances, how would you travel?
On the Sprinter.
Where do you recall traveling with the defendant for his performances?
We went several different places, really all over the US.
Did you travel to any places in the East Coast?
Yes.
Where did you travel?
Charlotte, North Carolina, New York, Alabama.
And did you travel to the West Coast as well?
We're in the let me see. Yes, correct.
Where in the West Coast that you recall?
Arizona, California.
Is it fair to say that are there are other places that you traveled to with the defendant that you don't recall necessarily here today?
Correct.
At any point during the course of the time you were seeing the defendant, did you come to live with him?
Yes.
How soon into the seeing the defendant did you begin to live with him?
I would say a couple of weeks later.
When you were living with the defendant and you weren't traveling on the road, where did you stay?
Mostly in hotels, back and forth from the houses or studio or the Trump.
So you mentioned houses, and you previously testified about a house in Atlanta, correct?
Correct.
Did you stay there?
Sometimes.
Okay, you also mentioned the Trump.
Correct.
What was the Trump?
In Chicago.
Who lived? Is it fair to say Trump is a building, a residence?
Right, a high rise.
Who lived there?
I Robert did.
So defendant's home?
Correct.
Would you spend time at the Trump?
Sometimes, not all the time.
You also mentioned the defendant's studio.
Correct.
Where was the studio located?
That was also in Chicago, and I'm not exactly sure where.
Do you recall the address?
I don't recall the address.
While you were with the defendant, did you ever have occasion to visit the doctor?
The doctor. I went to the hospital one time.
And during your trip to the hospital, were you ever tested for a sexually transmitted disease?
Yes.
When you went to the doctor, did you go alone?
No.
Who went with you?
Diana, the assistant at the time.
When you say the assistant, whose assistant was she?
Robert.
And you testified that you had tests regarding related to sexually transmitted diseases done. Did you get results back?
Yes.
Who received those results?
The assistant.
Diana?
Correct.
Did you ever speak to the doctor yourself with respect to
Mm,
your results?
no.
At any point did the defendant learn about your results?
I'm not sure.
While you were seeing the defendant, did you come to meet any female individuals who were regularly with the defendant?
Yes.
I'm showing what's in evidence as Government's Exhibit 75C. We are going to refer to this individual as Jane. Do you recall seeing Jane when you were with the defendant, also with the defendant?
Yes.
Using first names only and nicknames to the extent you know them, who, if anyone, else do you recall seeing the defendant regularly with who were female?
Jocelyn, Dominique, V. When I first came around, that was pretty much it.
Are you familiar with an individual named nicknamed Juice?
Juice. Yes.
Did you ever see Juice with the defendant?
Here and there, but not really. She would come to parties or something like that, but that was pretty much it.
When you first began seeing the defendant, what, if anything, did the defendant tell you about who those women that we've just been talking about were to him?
In the beginning, it was friends, women he cares about.
The defendant told you that?
Correct.
At some point, did you have additional discussions with the defendant about the actual nature of his relationship with those individuals?
Yes, down the line.
What, if anything, did he say?
They're women he cares about, and basically, yeah,
What, if anything, did the defendant say about why those women were with him?
because maybe their families, they didn't want to be at home with their families and enjoy more time being with him than being at home.
Now, based on your observation, at some point did you learn that Jane, Dominique, Juice, V, and Joycelyn were more than just friends with the defendant?
Yes.
And how did you learn that?
Down the line with, interactions and things like that.
At any point did you observe any of these individuals engage in sex with the defendant?
Yes.
During that time that you were with the defendant, did you also see the defendant with other women who we've not specifically discussed here today?
I don't recall.
Now, during the course of your relationship with the defendant, what, if any, rules did the defendant have that he expected you to follow?
Um, no makeup, going outside, baggy clothing, baseball caps, getting permission to go to certain places.
Do you recall any other rules with respect to your communications with other people?
Yes, communication kind of monitored.
What do you mean by that?
Well, he would mostly be, around if I spoke to someone or was on the phone.
When you say he, are you referring to the defendant?
Robert, yes.
You testified that one of the rules that the defendant expected you to follow was that you had to ask permission to go anywhere.
Correct.
What kind of things did you need to request permission from the defendant in order to do?
To leave the house, to go to another room, yeah.
To leave the house, to go to another room? Oh, I'm sorry. What, if anything, hold on, I'm sorry. Someone take over a second.
What, if anything, were you expecting to do if you needed to go to the bathroom, for example?
That was mostly during travel, like on the Sprinter. If he wasn't on the Sprinter, I would have to contact him before getting off to make sure it was okay to use the restroom.
What, if anything, were you expected to do by the defendant if, say, for example, you wanted food? Tanya, what happened?
Guys, I think they're having phone problems. We're gonna have to end this because there's too much issues.
Can you still hear me, Sylvia?
I can hear you, but I don't. Um. Tanya's having problem, and Henny Hen's dog is having problem. So we're gonna go ahead and end this. Um. Okay. We'll just try this tomorrow. All right, guys. That start where we are at. Okay.
2829 is the page.
All right, hon. Thank you.
Okay.
See, you're gonna be here tomorrow. We're gonna have a meeting before then. Okay. I'm gonna send you a message. Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Thanks.
Sorry, everybody. We're gonna end this. Okay. Bye.
Bye.